Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, winter is here and the cold weather has finally arrived, but I'm not going to let that stop me from making a new video. And today we have a 2012 Mercedes E350 Cabriolet to review, which is a very historic and special car. But before we get started, I would like to thank all of you who have subscribed for subscribing. However, only about 3% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So it would be a huge help if you could subscribe to the channel. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later. But anyways, without further ado, let's take a look at this very special Mercedes and start the review. First, I will walk you guys through the history of the Cabriolet name as well as the E350. Cabriolet is defined as a horse-drawn carriage with two wheels and a single horse, so the term was used even before the invention of the automobile. Mercedes first used the name Cabriolet during the 1920s, and they slowly offered it to a wider model range, and the name became more distinctive by the 1960s and 70s. And cabriolets are still being built today, with the most exclusive being the Mercedes-Maybach S650 Cabriolet, which is a beautiful vehicle. But what has always been unique about Mercedes cabriolets is that they aren't roadsters or all-out sports cars. They're intended to be athletic while retaining the refinement and comfort that Mercedes has always been known for. And the E-Class is a mid-range model within the Mercedes Benz lineup, with the E signifying Einspritzmotor, which stands for fuel-injected engine. And throughout its history, the E-Class has been offered in an assortment of body configurations, including a sedan, wagon, coupe, and cabriolet models. And the historic cabriolet name was first given to the E-Class with its introduction in 1993. However, it didn't last for too long, as the cabriolet trim then moved to the CLK class in 1998, but the cabriolet eventually returned to the E-Class with the introduction of the fourth generation, which was released in 2009, with the cabriolet version following in 2010. Now let's take a look at this particular E350 Cabriolet, and starting off at the front end of the car, of course I have to mention that there is a huge Mercedes badge right in the middle of the grille, which I personally very much like. However, what I like even more is that they do also have a classic Mercedes Benz hood ornament on the front of the hood. It looks exactly the same as the classic Mercedes Benz models, including the SL that I brought to the channel for you guys. So this is one of my favorite things about the Mercedes brand, is that they don't seem to have to change their brand identity or their logos, including that. And something else that's interesting to point out with this vehicle is that the evolution of the split headlight design is continued with this 2012 E-Class, and the Mercedes-Benz split headlight design first appeared in the early 1990s, so it's kind of cool to see that this is a more modern version of that same theme. Now moving along to the side of the Cabriolet, this is where the paint color really shines through. It's kind of like a matte silver color, very much stands out and is very unique. Here we also have our AMG wheels. They're very sporty looking, and it's pretty cool to see that it even says AMG on the wheels, which is a pretty nice touch. And on the front quarter panel of the vehicle is a blue efficiency badge. This is the badge that signified the blue efficiency and the blue tech engines that Mercedes was putting into their cars at the time, which offered direct fuel injection just to get better gas mileage at the time. That's what they were really going for. And while I'm up here by the windshield, I would like to point out one of the coolest features that this Mercedes has, which I've never seen on any other car, and that is Mercedes's air cap system. And when this system is engaged, this cap at the top of the windshield rises up, as well as the headrests and the air deflector in the back seat. And that's supposed to help direct airflow over the vehicle rather than coming into the car where it would bother the occupants. And this system was even supposed to work at very high speeds, even over 100 miles per hour, which I'm sure Germans on the Autobahn very much appreciated. And also on the windshield of this Mercedes is a sticker with Mr. Daimler's signature on it. Pretty cool to see that. It's kind of like he's giving approval of this vehicle and its quality. And towards the back of the car, that is where you can find the gas cap. And inside of that gas cap is a really cool sticker which shows the tire pressure for the front and rear tires. This is something that Mercedes has done for a very long time, so it's cool to see that Mercedes is still doing it in the modern era. Now moving along to the back end of the Cabriolet, there's a couple things to mention here. First, we do have speaker grills behind the rear headrests, kind of on the top of the car, so your rear passengers will be able to hear the music when the top is down. Also over here there. There are a couple chrome clips. I'm guessing this is how a hard top would be added to this vehicle. I don't know for sure though. I don't actually have a hard top for this car, but that is there. And on the back of the trunk lid, there is an E350 badge and a Mercedes Benz badge, kind of the stuff you'd expect to see. And we do have two chrome exhaust tips down at the bottom of the car, as well as a cool looking air diffuser. And getting into the trunk, there is fortunately a grab handle back there for you to open it up, and there is a fair amount of space back here. What is nice is that the trunk is pretty deep, so you can fit longer things in here. But what is cool is that there is a way to get even more storage space back here in the Cabriolet. As you can see, there is an arrow here on this piece of plastic at the top of the trunk. This is pointing down to a handle, and if you push this handle forward, it lifts up and adds a lot of headroom into this trunk, so you can fit larger stuff in here. But you can only do this when the top is up. That is because this thing folds up into where the top is stored. Also, in the floor of the trunk is a nice full-sized spare tire, which is pretty cool. There are some nets on the left and right side of the trunk to hold smaller items. And there's also a pretty interesting safety feature with the trunk. As you can see, when the trunk is open, there's a little red light that turns on, and that helps to make it easier for people to see the back of the car at nighttime when the trunk is open. So of course, because this car is a convertible, I need to show you guys how the power top works on this car. There are several ways to lower or raise the top. There's a button on the interior to do so, or you can actually use the key fob by holding the lock button to raise the top or holding the unlock button to lower it, which is a very cool idea. And once you start to raise the top, this back panel on the car raises up. The top reveals itself from its compartment. It goes forward to the windshield and eventually latches itself. And then the back glass also reveals itself from the rear panel. And then the panel goes down. The glass then latches onto that panel, and then the panel lowers again to look flush with the back of the car. And when the top is up, it actually does look pretty nice. It's pretty clean looking. And what's also really nice about this convertible top is that it's made to be extremely quiet. If we take a closer look at the inside of it, there are many layers of different fabrics and cloths to make it very thick and to help make it sound deadening. And actually, this Mercedes was the quietest in its class when it was first released, which is pretty impressive. And of course, once you want to lower the top, you either use the button on the interior or the key fob. But what is really nice is that this is a pretty fast system. It doesn't take too long. And it can also be used when the car is moving, of course at slow speeds, but it's nice that you can actually drive the car and raise or lower the top, which is very convenient. Next, let's take a look underneath the hood of the Cabriolet to see what is here. So all you have to do is there's a little button there to lift, and then the hood rises like so, pretty easy to do. And here is a 3.5 liter V6 petrol engine. This produces about 302 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good for a smaller convertible like this. However, there were E250 E-Class models which had either a 4-cylinder gasoline engine or a 4-cylinder diesel engine, and those engines produced about 210 horsepower, so this is a pretty big power bump above those engines. And of course, these were all direct fuel injection, so they got pretty good gas mileage. This one gets about 18 city, 28 on the highway, which is fairly impressive. However, if you wanted more power, you could upgrade to the flagship model, which was the E500, and this came with a V8 engine producing about 390 or 400 horsepower, which is pretty impressive. Next, let's start up the Cabriolet and see how it sounds. Before we take a look at the inside of the Cabriolet, I would like to show you guys the key fob that came with this vehicle. As you can see, there's some pretty nice metal on the outside and the bottom of the fob, which is quite luxurious. It feels nice when you grip it. There is a panic button here, a lock button, an unlock button, and a button for the trunk. And Mercedes Benz badge is right in the middle of this key fob. And taking a look at the bottom of the key fob here, there is a little switch there. And when you pull that, you can actually reveal a physical key, which you can use to get into the car if you have a dead battery, which is pretty nice. But what is a shame about this key fob is that you do actually have to insert this into the car to start it, so no push button start. But this is still a very nice, luxurious feeling key fob and does fit the Mercedes brand well. Now that we've taken a good look at the exterior of the E350 Cabriolet, let's go ahead and take a look at the inside. taking a look at the interior of the Cabriolet, it certainly is very special and luxurious. I very much like the color combination of the black and the red leather. It fits very well together. It's very sporty, but also luxurious looking, which is really nice. I'm also a very big fan of the use of metal and wood in this interior, on the door, on the dashboard, even in the back of the door, which is kind of similar to the SL that I showed you guys. However, there is still a good amount of plastic on the interior, especially on the dashboard and the top of the doors. It isn't really that nice. However, it's kind of to be expected from this time period. First, taking a look at this door, we do have a metal door handle as well as our door locks and seat controls on the door, which is very nice. And there is also 3-person memory for the front 2 seats. On the armrest is our window lockout button, our automatic up and down windows, as well as our mirror control buttons. And then inside of the pocket on the driver's door is a button to open up the trunk. And what's a really nice touch is that the door sill here is made out of metal. All right, let's get inside of the Mercedes and see what it's like. Okay, now on the inside of the Mercedes E350 Cabriolet. This is a very nice place to be. The seats are fairly soft and comfortable. However, they are also highly adjustable. Like I mentioned before, there are buttons on the door to control these seats. However, there is also a button to move up and down the driver's headrest. There's a button there that you press up or down and it raises or lowers the front headrest, which is such a cool and luxurious feature. But there are also even more controls towards the right side of the seat. There are some levers here, and these are used to adjust either the lumbar or the bolstering of the seat. It's a pretty interesting system. I've never seen buttons quite like these on any car before, but it's a pretty cool way to be able to adjust the seat and make it either as comfortable or as sporty as you need. But quite possibly my favorite feature about this entire car is the Mercedes air scarf heating system. The front 2 seats have these vents right below the headrest, and these are used to blow warm air out of to help keep you more comfortable when driving with the top down. It's a fantastic idea, and Mercedes implemented this to extend the period that you can drive your car with the top up or down. Next, right ahead of me is a very nice and sporty looking steering wheel. There's some nice grab handles at the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock positions to make it easy to adjust the gears with the paddle shifter. And there are also some buttons on the left side of the steering wheel to control the driver information center. And there are buttons on the right side of the steering wheel to control the multimedia system, as well as the volume. And there's also a voice command button here, so the car can listen to you if you want to change the radio station or control the navigation by voice. And behind the steering wheel on the left side are 3 different stalks. The one at the top is for the cruise control, the one in the middle is for your turn signals and your wiper controls, and the one on the bottom is for the tilt and telescopic steering wheel. However, this is kind of my one complaint about the functionality of the controls in the interior here. These stalks are all on the same side of the steering wheel, and they can be a little bit confusing. Sometimes when I'm driving, I want to turn on my turn signal, and I accidentally hit the cruise control stalk rather than the turn signal one. So it's kind of really not the best design. I wish that one of these stalks would have been on the right side of the wheel, or they just didn't have another one of these altogether. It would have made it a lot less confusing. And on the left side of the dashboard are the automatic headlight controls, as well as our fog light button. Directly behind the steering wheel are the analog gauges. They look quite nice. They're very large, easy to read. They look very sporty as well. However, the speedometer is probably the coolest analog gauge I have ever seen, and that is because of the needle. This needle actually moves from the outside of the speedometer rather than from the center, which is a very unique look, but it's also maybe a little bit confusing the first time you see it and you're not really sure how it works, but it's a very interesting and unique design. And in the middle of the speedometer is the driver information center. It's a really nice looking screen. You have a lot of different controls in there. You can see your tripometer, your fuel economy, all the stuff you'd expect to see, but you can also access your Bluetooth controls, your navigation, a bunch of different car settings as well. And it's kind of nice that Mercedes still was able to put a center screen in here without removing the analog gauges, kind of the best of both worlds. And one of my favorite things about the analog gauges is that there is one here on the left, which is a clock. Kind of something, once again, that Mercedes has done for a long time. They've had a large clock in their dashboard somewhere that's analog. Taking a look at the center screen of this vehicle, everything here is pretty straightforward and easy to use. At the top is navigation. You can look at your audio settings and your radio, your phone, as well as a video screen, which is for if you have a movie disc in the car. And then on the right side is the system. And what's really funny is that when you go into system, you can see a clock that's analog as well, but on a digital screen. screen, so you can actually have 2 clocks here in the front of the car. However, my one complaint about the screen, which is very annoying to me, is that this isn't a touch screen. You have to use either this rotary dial to control the screen or these multimedia buttons here beneath the screen to instantly access different things. However, it's just really annoying that this isn't a touch screen because many cars at this time did have touch screens, and sometimes it's just easier to use your finger rather than using a control knob to cycle through different things. Although you are limited to just using these buttons or the rotary control dial, the dial at least does feel extremely luxurious. It has a very nice feel to it. It's made out of metal. You can move it in many different ways to make it easy to access different things in your menu here, and it just feels extremely nice, actually even better than some of the newer cars that I've driven, including the CT6, so at least you aren't left with something cheap and plasticky to use. Next is several buttons. First, we do have our hazard light button here, but the more interesting button is beneath that one. This button is to control the arm that presents the seatbelt to you. This car has a really cool feature where you get into it and this arm extends and it makes it easier for you to grab the seatbelt. And this button is used to extend the arm whenever you want, in case if you missed it when it automatically presented it to you, then you can easily reach it whenever you need. And then below this are the buttons for the center screen, like I showed you before, and then below those are another strip of buttons. These buttons are for the heated seat, the air scarf system, as well as a button to manually raise or lower the rear headrests and air deflector. And there is something that really annoys me about this row of buttons, and that is that there are many of them that are blank. It's just very obvious that you're missing options on this car, even though it's already very expensive and well loaded out. It's just annoying when automakers make blank switches and put them all over the place, and it's kind of a shame that Mercedes did that with this car. Of course, this car does have dual zone climate control, which is very nice, so those buttons are there. We do have a very nice shifter knob here. It has the Mercedes Benz badge at the top of it. Looks very beautiful, very nice to use, feels very good, and it also has a manual override for the gears, and there's also another button here for the eco or sport modes that this car has. But what's really cool is that there are actually several hidden buttons on this center console, and those are underneath this black little door. If you open that up, it actually reveals several things. First is the button to control the convertible top, and there's also another really cool button here, and this one is used to lower or raise all 4 windows at the same time. A very nice button to have on a car, especially a convertible. You can just open up all the windows at the same time and enjoy the outdoors at once. And then the last button here is for the air cap system. They hid them underneath this little door so it doesn't clutter up the center console. Within the center console itself, there is a good amount of storage in there, but what's really funny is that there are several different cords there. One of them is actually for an old iPod Touch, which is so funny, so outdated. Even probably for 2012 it was getting to the point of being outdated, but today it just looks so goofy to see that in a car. And regarding the storage in this vehicle, it is pretty good. We do have a fairly large glove box, as well as some compartments within the front doors, and there's also hidden compartments in the back as well. These are actually found in these cargo nets beneath the back seat. Pretty clever place to find more storage in this car. Now that I am in the back seat of the Cabriolet, I'm going to show you guys exactly how easy it is to get back here. If you look at the front seats, there is a chrome handle there. That handle is used to release the front seat. You pull it forward and then the seat automatically moves forward to give you as much room as you need to get back here. The headrest also lowers if needed so that it doesn't hit the top of the roof there, but it's overall very easy to get back here, and once you do, you just pull the seat back and then it comes back to its regular position. And I will say there really isn't that much room back here to stretch out your legs, but it is still a fairly comfortable place to be even if you're an adult. You do have plenty of space in the seat. It is well bolstered. It is maybe a little bit upright, but it's still comfortable enough for you to rest and relax. There is a center armrest here which can be folded down. There is also a trunk pass-through back there, and there is also a couple cup holders underneath this wood panel, which looks like it came right out of a classic Mercedes, which is pretty cool. There is also a couple air vents here to keep you warm or cool. There are some window switches, as well as a couple of speakers back here on the sides of the car. But quite possibly the most luxurious looking thing back here is this speaker underneath the rear armrest. It says Harman Kardon on it, and it looks and feels very nice. Really cool placement for the rear speaker. Now that we've taken a look at the exterior and the interior, let's go ahead and take the Cabriolet for a drive. we are driving the E350 Cabriolet. Now this car is definitely not vague. It doesn't have a soft suspension or steering. It's definitely very direct. It just handles very nicely, very easy to drive. And that's also something that the E-Class is known for. It wasn't too large of a vehicle. It's just a well-rounded car. And what probably is the most surprising thing to me about this car is how quiet it is in here with the top up. And even at speeds, you truly do not feel like you're in a soft top convertible. So Mercedes really did do a great job of actually designing the acoustics of the interior and to make it still a very quiet vehicle, so you're not really sacrificing anything by getting the Cabriolet version of this car. All right, we've got a curve coming up here. Let's see how she handles it. Felt really good, actually. Definitely not a sharp turn, but this car really does exude confidence. It really does feel very confident in what it does. But the good thing is it doesn't feel like a complete race car. It doesn't harm you in any way by being sporty. It's definitely a really nice middle ground, which I do really love about this car. Let's see if we can do a quick 0 to 60. Alrighty. Ooh, bit of spinning the wheels. There's 40 already. 50, 60. Yeah, that felt pretty quick. Yeah, I think that these cars had a 0 to 60 of about 6 seconds or so, right around there. I'm really curious what the V8 would have been like. I bet they have maybe 5 seconds 0 to 60, maybe under that. That felt really, really quick. You know what? I may have to suffer for you all. Like I mentioned before in the beginning of the video, as you can see outside, it is cold, but I think I may have to put the top down to see what that experience is like. So let me go about 20, 25 here, and let's hope that the air cap does its job and keeps me warm inside. Better turn on my heated seat and the air scarf as well. Let's see if this works. Whew. Oh, it is cold. All right, the top is now down. Now let's press the air cap. Well, let's actually get up to speed first. 45. Turn on the cruise. Let's now turn on the air cap. Yeah, it makes a difference. It definitely doesn't make it any worse, that's for sure. Yeah, there's definitely still like a little bit of breeze, just a minimal amount, but it's definitely not bad at all. I mean, it really does feel like it's doing its job and keeping the car pretty quiet in here and comfortable. One of the cool things about Mercedes is in the German brands, they typically find really interesting ways around different issues. They find really creative solutions, and this air cap system is definitely one of them. And although earlier I did mention that some of the plastics in here just aren't all that nice, I can tell though that everything is really put together really well. It's a very solid and well put together car, which is a very good thing and does add to the experience inside of this vehicle, which is very important. Alrighty, I think I'm going to put the top back up so you guys can hear me a little bit better here. It's maybe not the quickest top in the world, but it's definitely not long. You know, just for fun. Let's hit it again while we're at speed. Whoa! Yeah, this car has some kick. That is really good. Now, although this car is very fast and very sporty, it's not the fastest of Mercedes models, and there is, I would say, a good reason as to why Mercedes didn't make an AMG version of the Cabriolet, and that's because they were never meant to predominantly be a sports car. To me, it seems that cabriolets have always seemingly provided a healthy balance of comfort and fun. They're very much well-rounded to give a driving experience with the one goal of being pleasurable. This car provides a well-refined driving experience. It is a fun, open-top convertible, and it has many luxurious amenities, which is the embodiment of what it means to be a cabriolet. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly had a lot of fun with the Cabriolet and learning about its history and its significance within the Mercedes brand and its lineup. Please let me know what you thought of the video and the car in the comments. Be sure to comment and like and subscribe, and to come back again soon for more videos. Thank you.